Hi everyone, George here from SBH Queensland. I'm here today with John, who is one of our long-serving and members of our community, and we're talking about lived experience. We're talking about technologies. We're talking about supports and everything else we can talk about. Hi John, how are you today?
I'm well, thanks, George. Yourself?
I'm great, thanks, John. John, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Yep. I am going to be turning 40 this year, and obviously was born with Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus. I've got a university degree in creative industries, and I'm actually transitioning into working on inclusion in schools, especially working with young children talking about sports and recreation and other ways and benefits in which inclusion will benefit not only people with disabilities, but the wider community as well.
That's great. So
great interaction.
So with having that, going to school and turning 40 and doing all that inclusion, what challenges have you faced, living with spina bifida and hydrocephalus?
Well, health challenges have been the obvious and fairly major one, and quite common to a lot of people in the spina bifida and hydrocephalus community. Mm-hmm. I actually had my shunt. I had it originally. What's the word? Put in, readjusted, I guess. When I was 6 months old, and then I had multiple surgeries over the course of my life up until the last couple of years, and then I had one abdominal surgery, and it, as my doctor said, after an emergency kind of malfunction, that it just knocked it out of harmony, is the way to put it. So
yep.
I didn't even know that my shunt was even still active after 36 years, I think, at the time. But yeah, that happened. And I know it does happen more commonly and more regularly among the spina bifida community. But yeah, I've had 30-something surgeries.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. Just talking about your shunt.
Yes.
How often do you have to get it changed?
Well, like I said, I'd had a revision. That's the word I was trying to think of. A revision only when I was 6 months old. And then all of my life, practically up until 2018, I had a bowel surgery in 2016, and then another bowel surgery to create a new stoma for my mace in 2018, and that happened to be the surgery that just knocked it out of harmony. And so, whilst I thought, I'd never even considered it. For all of those years, I'd never even thought it was even functioning anymore. I thought maybe I was able to function without it because I'd never had any issues whatsoever for an exceptionally long time, quite remarkably, according to the doctors. And just this one time in 2018, it got knocked out of harmony, and I had to get first an EVD external shunt, and then when my bowel surgery healed up, I could get it re-internalized into my skull.
Mm-hmm. Right. Thanks for that. So with all these challenges you've had throughout your life and everything, let's move on to achievements.
Yes.
Can you tell us what successes and achievements you've had living with spina bifida and hydrocephalus?
I have, as I mentioned before, I graduated from university, from QUT, with a bachelor's in creative industries. I've worked as a grants writer for police citizens youth clubs. I've worked in an arts and disability organization. I'm currently, about to start work, as I mentioned, in the inclusion sector with Sporting Wheelies. That's still pending, but hopefully. that I will be doing that with young children. I volunteer at my local state school, have done for probably working with prep age children. So obviously children are at the center of my values in my life. Got
Mhm.
5 nieces and nephews under the age of 11, and I spend a lot of time, being an uncle and try to be as active as I possibly can in their lives and seeing them grow. It's very important to me. So yeah, and a lot of sort of work capacity, family capacity, with friends as well. I like to keep as active as I can, going out to dinners and house parties and whatnot with friends as well, and other events. So I try to keep connected.
That's great, John. Thank you for that. It's a lot of achievements, which is great. And
Thank
I
you.
hope you're very proud of yourself, and you should be proud of yourself,
I appreciate that.
mate. We'll move on now. Strategies and supports that you have in place with Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus and accessing the community. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, obviously with the shunt and with hydrocephalus, for me, there's some cognitive issues, and it manifests differently for every individual. That's the complex nature of disability for everyone, really. And for me, it creates difficulties with processing, sequencing, and organizing information in my brain, mapping and things like that, spatial awareness. I've got what's called a neurocortical vision impairment. So basically my brain through hydrocephalus is telling my eyes that a tiny little drop in the terrain is a large drop, and that causes kind of like a vertigo sensation. A lot of people, I think, with hydrocephalus can relate to that. So for me, I use my alerts and my alarms on my phone a lot. I have support now through the NDIS over the last couple of years, having a house cleaner who comes in once a week to help me do my, the things that I really can't do, like washing my floors, sweeping my floors, the dusting, bathroom, those sorts of my washing and those sorts of things. And she'll also, although over time this has tapered off, so I have a feeling that my brain is, with the alerts on my phone, it's proving that my brain is able to learn, which is still the critical thing for every human being. My support worker doesn't have to remind me when I'm running low on medication. So that's a really good thing, that the alerts and the alarms, Siri is really big for me. All of that is actually becoming mental cognitive habits that are actually starting to solidify for me. I've also got a scooter, which gets me in my local community down to my local shops and cafes, and I like to keep connected, as I said. So getting to know all the people who work at my local cafes and local restaurants, and all the way, I live in Nunda, so all the way down to Toombul. I've also just recently, in the last probably 2 months, acquired through NDIS, an elevating wheelchair, which is a game changer for me because it allows me to get things at really high shelves at the grocery store, be more independent, not have to, not that I have a problem with asking and communicating, but for help, but I can now independently, reach the cereal from the top shelf without having to ask. I can really critically, in a social circumstance, be able to elevate to talk to a standing person at their eye level, which I think from a work perspective and a work setting where there's power relations going on there, and you want to be colleagues, that kind of adaptation, being able to adapt to that environment using assistive technologies is really, really useful.
That's great. Thanks for that, John. Okay, so we'll move a little bit further on now. Plans and goals for your future. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I'm actually looking next year to study again, to do my master's, actually in counselling. I really want to be able to transition the work that I'm doing in the inclusion space to be more of a mentor and counsellor, coach, especially for people who have gone through, as I said, I've had multiple health issues. So I really want to specifically focus in counselling on grief, loss, and trauma. Unfortunately, many of us have experienced, friends who've passed away because of illness, disability, and also through other life health factors as well.
Yeah.
And I certainly have. So I feel that I really want to and can provide a lot of benefit to the community around me, especially people who've gone through grief, loss, and trauma.
Great, John. So one more question, my friend, and then we can talk about something else.
Sure.
If you could go back and change something, what would it be and why?
What would it be and why? Well, it's kind of like asking the question of what would you tell your younger self in a way. I would probably want to have developed more self-belief, I think. If I could change that about myself from when I was younger, and go back, and I think a lot more things might have developed in my life had I had more self-belief and had a wider perspective.
Okay, so we just talked about that. So what I would like you to talk to me now and tell me is what things do you have in place to be able to do that?
To have more self-belief?
Yeah, what things can you put in place, or what things have you put in place?
Yeah, well, as another goal coming up hopefully this year, actually, it's been a long time coming through a lot of assessments through occupational therapists and going through the bureaucracy, but I am now looking to get my own housing through SDA, and so the application is in, and hopefully I'll be approved sooner rather than later. And I know the model of housing in which I want to live within. It's within a mainstream apartment complex where I still feel that I'm engaging with different parts of the community, but it will also provide me with the supports and the structures that I'll need, both physically and through other services as well. So that gives me a lot of self-belief, to know that those services can come to me, those supports can come to me, that I'll be living in an environment and a community which I've, over the last probably 5 years or 10 years, have really gotten to know really well, and feel like I've practiced a lot of the routes that I take when I go on my routines of a day, every day, and how that's solidified in my brain cognitively through mapping, spatial awareness. I'm learning a lot more, and I think knowing that I have learnt, actually having the ability to reflect on where I was 10 years ago to where I am now, and seeing that I have been able to learn a lot, and I'm still continuing to grow and continuing to develop and learn. That is giving me a lot more self-belief. Also knowing that I've got the supports around me to help me help me continue to learn and build capacity and address some of the shortfalls.
Great. Thank you, John. Really, really appreciate it. That's really great. So I do have one more question for you, because you mentioned something in there, and I wanted to ask you, if you could help one person today who has spina bifida and or hydrocephalus, what would you say to them to be able to live a independent life, without any challenges, without any issues? What would you say to them?
Don't give up. I would say have faith in yourself, have faith in your family, have faith in your friends, and know that you'll find a way to find the services, to find the supports, to build the networks and the connections that every human being needs. One other area that I know that I've grown is recognizing that my disability is not the center of my life, that it is a part of my life. And that's a really important shift to make, because when you don't see yourself through limitations, through that prism of limitations quite as much. I mean, we all do from time to time, but if we try to have a wider perspective, we realize that we can achieve so much more than we think.
John, well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been really great to hear from you. Been really great to talk with you, and great to catch up with you again. So once again, mate, thank you so much for your time today. Thanks everyone for watching. If you'd like more information on SBH Queensland, you can contact us through our website or our office number, which is 0738 444600. Have a great day. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you.